There are certain days that slip by unnoticed, tucked quietly between louder moments of celebration and chaos. But every now and then, a day arrives that carries something more, something encoded into the fabric of time itself. August 7th is such a day. It doesn't come with fireworks or fanfare. It doesn't scream its arrival, nor does it announce its purpose. But beneath its silence, something stirs, something ancient, something personal. For those who are willing to see beyond the ordinary, August 7th holds a key. It is a doorway dressed as a calendar date, a whisper buried in the noise of everyday life. And while the world moves on, unaware, you are being invited into the mystery. You are being called to notice, because the secret of August 7th was never meant to be shouted. It was meant to be discovered. This day is not random. There is a divine rhythm in the universe, and time is not as chaotic as it seems. Moments are measured, appointments are made, doors are set to open. And when you begin to view life through that lens, you begin to understand that no moment is wasted. Some days carry weight, others carry turning points. August 7th carries both. It is not just another date. It is a point in time where something can shift if you let it. It's not magic, and it's not superstition. It is alignment. It is when your story intersects with a greater story, and a decision must be made, not by force, but by invitation, by awakening. Perhaps you've felt unsettled lately, as though something is stirring beneath the surface of your life, but you can't quite name it. You've sensed there's more, that your life was meant for something deeper, higher, truer, that what you've been doing isn't enough anymore, that the way you've been living is too small for the soul you carry. That tonguing, it isn't coincidence. It's the voice beneath time calling you forward. That voice doesn't shout. It speaks quietly on days like today, on August 7th. And if you ignore it, you might miss what was meant to change everything. What if this is the day that marks a new season in your life? What if this is the day when heaven gives you a nudge and says, no, not tomorrow, not next year, now. And what if all it takes is for you to respond? The truth is, the world will continue on like nothing has happened. But something has happened. You've been shown the secret. And now the question remains, will you step into it? Will you listen to the whisper? Will you trust the timing? Or will you let it pass like so many days before it, unnoticed and unfulfilled? August 7th is not asking you for perfection. It is asking you for awareness. It is asking you to wake up, because something has begun, and it starts today. All around us, the universe moves in patterns. Seasons rotate, tides rise and fall, the moon waxes and wanes. And history itself moves in rhythms that repeat across generations. These are not coincidences. They are signs of design, fingerprints of an order beyond human invention. Time is not just linear, it is layered. And August 7th, while seemingly ordinary, fits into a greater cycle, a pattern that echoes throughout time. Most people live unaware of these divine appointments, these days when history and personal destiny touch. But those who learn to see the signs understand that dates can hold weight. They realize that nothing is wasted in a universe woven together by purpose. And today, August 7th, is one of those appointed days. You may look at this date and see nothing more than a number, but that's because meaning is often hidden from the surface. That's how truth operates. Gold is never found lying on top of the ground. It's hidden. And so it is with the secret of this day. It carries a code written not in numbers, but in timing, in alignment, in convergence. Something about today draws together the scattered threads of your past and future. The decisions you've been avoiding, the dreams you've let gather dust, the questions you've refused to ask. This day was made to bring them to light. August 7th does not operate like any other day. It sits like a fulcrum, a pivot point. And what you do with it could change the course of years. Think back over your life. How many days did you think were just like the others until they weren't? The day you met someone who would change everything. The day you made a decision that altered your direction. The day you lost something you thought you couldn't live without. Those days didn't look special in the morning, but by nightfall you knew they had meaning. August 7th might be one of those days for you. But this time, you're not stumbling into it unaware. This time you've been told, you've been warned, you've been awakened. The pattern is clear and your eyes are open. Now the question is, will you act or will you ignore what you know in your spirit to be true? There is wisdom in learning how to discern the seasons of your life. Just like farmers watch for the first signs of rain or the changing color of leaves, we must learn to read the patterns in our own journey. Something is shifting, a cycle is closing, and another is beginning. The old is no longer enough. The comfort of yesterday is becoming the discomfort of today. That is not a sign of failure. It's a sign of transition. And August 7th is the day the shift begins. If you can recognize the pattern, if you can align yourself with the rhythm, if you can respond to the pull that is drawing you forward, then you will not miss it. The pattern has already started. The question is, will you step into it or stay behind? You may be wondering why you're hearing this message today on this specific date in this particular moment. But the truth is, there are no coincidences when it comes to timing that touches the soul. You were not meant to hear this yesterday because you weren't ready yesterday. And tomorrow, it would be too late. This was always meant to find you now, at this exact point in your life, with all the battles you've fought, the choices you've made, the questions you've buried, and the hopes you've nearly abandoned. This is the moment it had to arrive, because divine timing doesn't follow your calendar. It works on a higher clock. And that clock just struck a turning point. August 7th isn't just any date on the timeline. It's your appointed moment. There are seasons in your life when it feels like everything has been waiting for something to break open, as if all your prayers have been hanging in the air, suspended, waiting for release. As if your dreams have been waiting behind an invisible door, yearning to step into the light, but never given permission to move forward. What if this day is the one where the door begins to open? What if today is when the waiting ends? Not because the world finally noticed you, but because something deeper has shifted inside you. You were not late to this moment. You arrived exactly when you were supposed to. Not too early, not too far gone, not too broken. Just in time. There's a reason you've been carrying questions. There's a reason you've been feeling that quiet ache that something needs to change. It's not random restlessness. It's the sign of a life that is ready to evolve. But evolution begins with awareness. And awareness is what this day brings. August 7th is your wake-up call. It doesn't need flashing lights or breaking news. It only needs your attention, because the moment you truly see what this day is, something begins to change. You start to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. You start to reclaim the purpose you once dreamed about. You start to feel the alignment between who you are and who you were always meant to become. Sometimes the most powerful moments are the quietest ones. This is not a moment that demands performance or perfection. It only asks for your presence, for you to lean in, for you to acknowledge that something is shifting and that you are not mean to stand still. The beauty of this moment is not that it is loud, it's that it is true. You were made for this very hour. And now that you know, now that you've heard the call, you can't unknow it. You can't pretend this day is ordinary anymore. The time is now. The moment is here. August 7th has arrived, and it came for you. There's something powerful about beginnings, especially the ones no one else sees. The world teaches us to wait for the right circumstances, for the perfect moment, for visible signs of success before we dare to act. But the truth is, the most life-altering decisions rarely come when things are clear. They come in the shadows, in the quiet moments when the heart is stirring and everything outside looks the same. That's what makes this day, August 7th, so significant. It doesn't look different. There are no fireworks, no sirens, no headlines telling you this is your day. But that's the secret. The most extraordinary breakthroughs often begin in ordinary moments. And what you decide now, right here, may ripple through your future in ways you cannot yet imagine. Seeds don't make noise when they break open underground. Caterpillars don't announce when they turn into butterflies. Mountains don't move with explosions. Most of the time, transformation is silent. It happens when you choose to respond to an invisible pull. When you feel the nudge to start that dream, to walk away from what's toxic, to speak the truth you've held in for years. And you act not because anyone else told you to, but because something deep inside you knew, this is the time. That's what August 7th is. It's not a date on your calendar. It's a crossroads. You can either stay on the path you've always walked, or you can take the first step toward who you were always meant to be. There's no need to have everything figured out. This isn't about clarity. It's about obedience. It's about trust. You don't need to see the whole staircase to take the first step. You only need the courage to move. Maybe you've delayed long enough. Maybe you've talked yourself out of change for years. Maybe fear has whispered lies to you, convincing you that you're not ready, not good enough, not strong enough. But if August 7th carries one truth, it's this: readiness is not a feeling. It's a choice. You don't wait for the day to come that feels perfect. You choose the day that feels you true, and you step forward in faith. This is your moment to begin. You don't need approval. You don't need applause. All you need is a yes in your spirit, a willingness to walk forward, even if you tremble, a willingness to believe that this date, this unremarkable, quiet, powerful August 7th, could be the most important day of your life, not because of what happens outside, but because of what shifts inside. The moment you say yes to the calling, the entire trajectory of your future begins to change. This is how legacy starts. This is how freedom begins. Not with noise, but with a whisper. Not with certainty, but with faith. August 7th has shown up. The question now is, will you? Not every moment in life waits for your readiness. Some moments arrive whether you feel prepared or not, and what you do with them becomes the very foundation of your future. August 7th is one of those moments. It carries a whisper, a challenge, a decision that cannot be outsourced or delayed. It doesn't matter how many mistakes lie behind you. It doesn't matter how long you've wandered, doubted, or waited. What matters is that today is here, and with it comes a question: will you respond? Because knowing the truth is not the same as living it. Being called is not the same as answering. And if August 7th holds a secret, it's this: you must choose now. So many people live their lives waiting for a sign, waiting for everything to make sense before they take a leap. But if history, faith, and destiny teach us anything, it's that breakthrough rarely comes to those who wait passively. It comes to those who act boldly. The doors you're hoping to open will not swing wide on their own. They are waiting for you to knock. The chains you want broken won't fall off unless you first take the step. The clarity you've been praying for won't come unless you start walking into the unknown. That is the mystery of how purpose works. It requires your participation. And the secret of August 7th is that heaven has already placed an invitation in your hand. The question is, what will you do with it? Think of everything you've carried to this point. The regrets, the dreams, the fears, the moments you wished you could undo. All of it has led here. Not as punishment, but as preparation. You are not behind. You are not disqualified, are not broken beyond repair. You are standing on the edge of something new, and all of heaven is watching to see if you'll step through the door. There's a divine confidence in you that may have been buried under layers of pain and disappointment, but it's still there, and today is about remembering it. August 7th is the day you no longer wait for someone else to validate your value. It's the day you stop rehearsing your failures and start rehearsing your future. Don't let the quietness of today fool you. This moment matters. It matters because what starts today might set a fire that burns for years. It might unlock the courage to begin again, to rise from places you thought you'd never escape, to forgive where bitterness once lived, to speak when silence has become too loud. This is not about pretending to be ready. It's about deciding to begin anyway. You don't need full strength, just full surrender. Let August 7th be remembered in your life not as just another day, but as the E-day you moved. The day you stopped waiting and started walking. The day everything shifted. Not because of what changed outside, but because of what awakened within. When people speak of transformation, they often think of grand gestures, mountaintop moments, viral success, instant breakthroughs. But true transformation doesn't begin on the outside. It begins in the small, often invisible choices made when no one is watching. And August 7th is a day that invites you into that hidden, sacred space where real change is born. Not the kind that fades with applause or burns out under pressure, but the kind that takes root deep within and redefines everything from the inside out. This is not just a date. It is an opportunity disguised as an ordinary day. A divine appointment hiding in plain sight. And the invitation it carries is clear: to listen, to choose, and to act. We live in a world that rewards noise and speed, but the deepest callings often arrive in silence. They don't shout over your distractions. They wait patiently beneath them. August 7th brings with it that kind of whisper, a gentle tap on the shoulder of your soul asking, are you ready to live differently? Not in theory, but in reality, to stop just surviving and start stepping into what you were truly made for. You won't get flashing lights or guaranteed outcomes. What you'll get instead is a chance, a seed, a whisper that holds the power to move mountains. If you respond, maybe you've told yourself you'll change someday when the timing is right, when life slows down, when fear goes away. But that's the lie that keeps people stuck in cycles year after year. Fear doesn't leave. Resistance doesn't vanish. But today, August 7th, offers something raring, a break in the noise. A sacred pause, a window of clarity. You don't need all the answers to begin. You just need to recognize that the opportunity is here. That this day, as plain as it looks, has been prepared long in advance for you to finally shift, to make the call, to write the page, to walk out of what's familiar and into what's possible. There's power in beginning before you're ready. There's strength in saying yes while your knees still shake. That's where courage is born, not in the absence of fear, but in the presence of purpose that is greater than fear. And that's the choice you face today, to either stay hidden beneath excuses or rise up with even the smallest bit of faith and say, yes, I'm ready to begin. You won't be perfect. You won't have it all figured out, but you will be moving. And movement is what ignites miracles. So don't underestimate the weight of this moment. Don't overlook the sacredness of what feels small. The difference between who you are and who you're becoming may start with just one choice. And today, August 7th is asking you to make it. Not later, not tomorrow. Now, because the whisper has spoken, the door is open. And what begins in you today could very well become the legacy others will talk about for years to come. We've talked about the calling, the timing, the whisper, the unseen patterns, but now we must speak of response. Because everything up to this point has led to one final truth E. Knowledge is not transformation. Awareness is not movement. Even revelation on its own is incomplete without a response. August 7th is not just about what's been shown to you. It's about what you will do with it. You've been given an invitation, not an outcome. You've been handed a door, not a shortcut. And while that door stands wide open today, it will not remain open forever. That's the weight and urgency of this moment. The question is no longer, what does this day mean? It's now, will you walk through it? Throughout history, those who truly changed their lives and the lives of others were not those who waited until they felt ready. They were the ones who recognized a moment of divine timing and responded. They acted when the cost was high, when the road was unclear, when the outcome was unknown. The heroes of faith, of courage, of reinvention. They all had one thing in common. They refused to let the moment pass. And that is what August 7th requires of you. Not perfection, not confidence, just action, just surrender. Just one brave step in the direction of the whisper you've heard echoing through your soul. You might feel the resistance rising now. Questions. A sudden urge to retreat to safety. That's normal. That's the sign you're standing at the edge of something real. The enemy of your progress always speaks the loudest when you're on the verge of breakthrough. But here's the truthing: fear has no authority unless you give it permission. Doubt has no power unless you obey it. And delay is the thief of every destiny never fulfilled. Today, August 7th is asking you to silence every lie by doing the one thing fear cannot stand, taking the next step anyway. You already know what the step is. It's the conversation you've avoided, the habit you need to release, the story you're supposed to write, the dream you've buried for so long, it now feels like a memory. This isn't about drama, it's about direction. It's about choosing one small act of obedience right now that aligns your life with who you were always called to be. No one else can make the decision for you. No one else can live your calling. And no one else will be held accountable for the opportunity you've been given in this moment. So, what will you do? Not tomorrow. Today, because August 7th will pass like any other day. Unless you decide otherwise. Unless you choose to make it holy. Unless you mark it with a decision so bold, so surrendered that heaven takes notice. You have heard the call. You have seen the door. Now there is only one thing left. To walk through it. And before the clock turns, before the feeling fades, while the moment is still yours to take.